Hey, what's up everybody? This is your boy Kenny, and this is Queen Sugar Season 3, Episode 10, and the name of this episode is Here Beside the River. This was a really good episode, and I'm just completely blown away by some of the things that happened in this episode. So let me begin. First, I'm going to talk about Nova. Nova has written this article that is now in the New Yorker, and it's an article about her father, and the name of it is We Bleed Something in the Night. And she's reading the article in front of a room of people, and she's discussing her mother Trudy, and how losing her mother was devastating to her. And also, we see that Remy's in the audience. Go figure, right? So Remy's in the audience, and she's talking about her mother and about how losing her mother was like very devastating for her. And she also talks about her father and how her father, was a man that was proud, a man that was strong. But she come to find out that her father also had a lot of pain, and literally was walking, his land with a pistol. So she talks about, Ernest attempting suicide, but then towards the end she says, but the great thing about it is that at the edge of the land he found us. And I think that is what stopped him from wanting to end his life. So we see that going on. Then we see that Vi finds out about the article. I think her assistant, I think her name is Rhonda. And Rhonda was talking about, oh yeah, Charlie doing, she's like, oh yes, Nova is doing big things. She got an article in the New Yorker, and yeah, she's, Nova's, this article is everything. Like, and, she starts to, and then she gives the article to Vi. Vi starts reading it, and we just see that Vi is not pleased with it. So she confronts Nova about it later on, and she's like, what the hell do you think you doing by putting your father's business out there like that? Making him look some kind of way. And I figured Vi was going to have this kind of reaction, because Vi is definitely very protective, especially when it comes to her, diagnosis of having lupus. I can see why certain things you don't want to put out there in the open. She was saying that here I am out here fighting all these battles to protect the family, and yet you do this? You put our business out there like that? And then Nova explains to her that, look, this was not to disrespect Daddy or the family. This was a tool to help others, because there's so many people going through this. There's so many people who are dealing with so much that they want to end their lives. This is helping people. You have to see it for that. Like, this is helping people. And this is my intention. It's not to shame Daddy, but to actually show that even some of the greats have difficulties. They have fears. They have trials and tribulations. And if anything, Aunt Vi kind of told Nova straight up that, look, I don't know what it is, but it's something about your aura ain't right. And all I'm going to tell you is that whatever it is, fix it. Because I'm not getting you right now. I'm getting something else. And we knew, Nova knew exactly what Aunt Vi was talking about, because later on, towards the mid of the episode, she has a conversation with Remy, and she lets Remy know that, yeah, we are a perfect fit for each other, but it's always going to be in pain, and it's always going to cause pain to everybody else. And what good is to have a love if it's going to bring nothing but hate and heartache for everybody else around? So she finally decide that, her and Remy can't go forward with their relationship. And I said it is unfortunate, because they do have great chemistry but look at all the mess that it's gonna cause if they were to be together. I mean, for one, Remy, you were just dating her sister, you know, like 5 minutes ago, and now you're completely head over heels for Nova. But we can definitely tell that there is some real chemistry there between them. And while they were talking, you know, Remy starts talking about you know, his Shonda, his wife who's deceased. He was saying that she had got injured and she was like in the hospital for 2 weeks, and she told him that if something would have happened to me, I don't want you to stay in a rut. I want you to live your life. I want you to move on and move forward. And we see that that's Remy's problem. Remy can't move forward because Remy's still in the same house they lived in. The house is probably still the same way as it was when he was with when Shonda was alive. So Remy is still dealing with that you know, with that loss. And this is probably the reason why he's jumping into a whole bunch of bullshit, because Remy hasn't really dealt with his past, or he's not really made peace with it, where he can actually move on and live. And he was saying that, you know, I tried to sell the house, but I just couldn't do it. So I'm just stuck there being reminded of her all the time. So it was kind of deep, because I'm thinking, wow, you know, this kind of explains why you're doing what you're doing. You know, why you're just throwing yourself into situations, you know, and yet you haven't fully had closure. And, you know, she tells him that, look, you know, you're a good man and you deserve good things, but unfortunately, we can't continue with this. So we see that, yeah, she finally decides to end things with Remy, which was the right thing to do, because, you know, at the end of the day, she was right. Everybody else is going to feel here it is, we're going to be in love, but yet everybody else is going to be hurt by it. And the thing about it, love is supposed to bring people together, not separate them. So, that was deep. Next, I'm going to talk about Ralph Angel. Ralph Angel, when we first see him in the episode, he's looking at, you know, his papers. You know, the papers that that Darla has said that she's been talking with her lawyer about custody. And she wants that 70-30. Next thing you know, we see that he gets a knock on the door, and it's the Department of Child and Family Services. They're there to, you know, ask questions, to look around, and to like, you know, and to like get to the bottom of pretty much they're there to do an investigation on Ralph Angel and his parenting. And we see that Ralph Angel is not happy at all. You know, because we see in the scene, you know, we see one of the ladies is asking questions to Blue, which is making him uncomfortable. And then we see that there's the woman who's actually asking Ralph Angel questions, and it gets to the point where he just kind of flips out. He's like, you know, and she's like, well, sir, I need you to focus. He's like, how am I going to focus when you got that woman up in there asking questions to my son? And he's like, I'm a good dad. I provide for him. He's safe and he's happy here. You know, who out here saying I'm not a good father? And the lady was like, I can't give you that information. He's like, why not? You think it's cool? Y'all just because they just showed up. And he was like, dang, y'all couldn't even call somebody and tell somebody you were coming. You just showed up on my doorstep. And he's like, look, we're just here to do our job. The better you cooperate, the better we'll be out of your hair. And it even kind of dawned me, like, why would the Department of Child and Family Services be at his house? You know, and it made me think, damn, Darla, are you that damn self-righteous and that damn pressed that you will want to try to put him out that he's a bad father so you can get Blue? And at first I was kind of thinking, who would do something like that? And he was like asking them, like, who the hell's saying I'm not a good father? Next thing you know, we see he calls Darla and asks Darla, what the hell is going on here? You know what? You like, why would you do this to me? You know, we could have talked about this, but now you want to go and, you know, get the authorities in here questioning Blue and questioning me? You know, and Darla says, I would never do anything like that to you, Ralph Angel. And I could tell by the way she said it, Darla's telling the truth. That she really had nothing to do with that, but it was Darla running her mouth that caused it. You see what I'm saying? And I'm going to definitely get to that too, but we see that, you know, Ralph Angel is upset because he's like wondering what the hell is going on. Why is it that, you know, I'm being questioned? Why is my parenting skills being questioned when I've been nothing but a good father to Blue? Why would you send these people to my house? And Darla lets him know, I did not have anything to do with that. Directly. So after he gets off the phone with Darla, he calls Aunt Vi and he tells Aunt Vi everything that's going on. And Vi knows exactly where it came from, and I'm gonna get to that because Aunt Vi showed up and did right in this episode, and I can't wait to talk about that. But we see afterwards, we see that Ralph Angel, because he knows he's still on probation and he only has a month left before his probation is up. So he goes to the police station, you know, to try to get in touch with his parole officer. And the officer that he was talking to, she was a rude bitch. Just really condescending, was very short with her answers. He's really, you know, saying that, well, how is this going to affect my, you know, right now, child and family services, you know, is like, you know, has me on an investigation. Is me being on probation going to affect that? And she was just like, well, the thing is, you would have to wait to talk to your parole officer, and he ain't here. So you just going to have to wait for him to reach out to you, and then you'll find out whether it's going to affect it or not. We're just being real nasty for no reason. And this is an issue I have, too, because when someone's on parole, this is a person who has done wrong, but they're in the process of trying to make things right. And yet, even though they've been out of prison, and he only got a month left, and you're still treating him like he's a criminal. You're still looking down on him as if like he's a bad person when he only did a bad thing. So we see that, yeah, Ralph Angel is angry. He's frustrated. But then, while he's at the police station, he runs into Twan. And we remember Twan from, I think it was season 1 or season 2 that we met Twan. Yeah, I think it was season 2 was when we met Twan. You know, Twan is his friend, and you know, Twan's a trans man. And Twan gave him some great advice because he opened up about what's going on, and he was like, they're gonna take Blue from me and all that. And he said, they're not gonna take Blue from you. Blue will never be taken from you. And he was like, they got these people out here thinking I'm a bad father, and you know, and he's just enraged. And Twan lets him know that, look, I understand you're angry, and you have every right to be angry, but you're gonna have to learn to channel that anger, because he talks about, you know, growing up with a father who didn't accept him, like his father threw him in the trash and all of that. And he was saying that, look, I got enough rage to take out this whole damn city. But I learned that you can't always respond in anger. You cannot always respond in rage. You have to learn how to channel it and control it. Because at the end of the day, this is about Blue. And you don't want your emotions to give you an outcome that you don't want, because you couldn't control yourself. So he was saying that, look, you need to learn how to channel that anger, because at the end of the day, your aim is to get your son. Your aim is to make sure that your aim is to make sure that you keep custody of your son. And I know right now they're rubbing your feathers. I know they pissing you off, but you cannot keep flipping out on them. You can't keep reacting like that. You got to learn to channel your anger and control it. And I was like, Twan is a godsend, because he gave Ralph Angel the advice that he needed, because we know how Ralph Angel can be a hothead and how Ralph Angel is quick to pop off. You know, we've definitely known this about Ralph Angel since season 1. You know, when Ralph Angel get mad, he gets mad. And, you know, because he definitely flipped off on the Child Protective Services, you know, crew that came through. And he definitely was getting mad because the woman that worked with the parole department was being rude to him. And he was just angry because he's like, you know, why is all this happening? You know, I've been a good father to that boy, and now they're trying to take my boy away from me. But Twine let him know that, look, I know you angry, but don't let your anger get the best of you, because that can be to your detriment. So that was like some great advice, and it was great seeing Twine again too, because Twine was definitely that good friend, you know, and that he knew Ralph Angel, because you saw the first time when we first met Twine, you know, he was being, you know, Ralph Angel was looking for Kenya in the trash, and the police officer was like questioning Ralph like he was about to take him in, but Twine stepped in. He's like, I know him. He's cool. He's good. You know, and you know, him and Twine grew up with each other. So Twine is definitely that friend that's just gonna tell it like it is. And it was great that that him and Twine had that moment. Then we see later on Ralph Angel has a conversation with Blue, and they have a beautiful father and son connection. And you know, Blue, being a child, asks questions. He says, "Why was those people here asking us questions?" And he's like, "Why did you yell?" And you know, what's a record? And he actually tells Blue about him being arrested when he was a baby, and you know that he did. And he says, "You know about jail?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's where bad people go." "Are you a bad person, Daddy?" And he was like, "No, I'm not a bad person. I'm not a bad person. I just did a bad thing, and because of that, I have a record." Meaning, you know, now it's documented that I did this bad thing, but I've been fighting every since that time to not do nothing bad ever again, because I want to be a good father to you, and I want to make sure that that I don't become a bad person. You know, and you know, in order for you not to be a bad person, you have to stop doing the bad things you're doing. So, and we see that this actually brings him and Blue close together, and I'm like, man, this is gonna be crazy on all levels. But I love seeing the connection between Blue and Ralph Angel, and I'm saying this connection is everything, because what Darla's trying to do, like, you're literally trying to change that narrative, but you're not thinking in terms of how it's going to affect Blue. Blue is attached to his father, and he's attached to the borderlands. But yeah, so then we ended up, so now I'm going to get to who was actually behind what happened between reason why the Department of Child and Family Services showed up at his doorstep. We come to find out, because once he talked to Vi found out where it came from, and the next thing you know, she is talking to Darlene, Darla's mother, and they go back and forth. You know, she was like, you know, I know you may feel some kind of way, Vi, but this is for the best interest of Blue. Vi was like, oh, bullshit. Because if it was for the best interest of Blue, you would have came back a long time ago and not just sent your money to help out. You would have actually been involved, because the thing is, you paid the money, but you left the raising to us. You know, we were like your glorified babysitters, and now you think you're just going to come in and just rip, you know, Blue from his father? Are you serious? And then, like, Darlene explains it, that, look, I was cool when it was you and Ernest raising him, but Ralph Angel, his whole situation is questionable. He got felons work. He's got former convicts working on that land. He's got all of these jobs, and how's he gonna provide a stable living situation for his son? And then he may not even be his biological father. And I was just like, ooh. But Darlene definitely is like a concerned grandmother, you know, who wants to step in and actually be there for her grandson. But Darlene got money and she got clout, and she using it to her fullest advantage to get custody of Blue. So now we know that, yeah, Darla's been talking about everything she's going through with her mother, and her mother has now stepped in, and her mother is playing dirty. She's doing what she got to do to win. So, if anything, Dawn-Lyen wasn't having it. She was saying that, yeah, Ralph Angel was in prison, but yet the whole time your daughter was out here snorting, skiing, slutting, and doing everything she could put her hands on. And I was like, you better tell her on that. And she was saying that, look, what I'm doing is for the best interest of Blue, and you know, he's my grandson, and I want to see him safe, and I don't feel he's safe with Ralph Angel and all of that. And I'm like, and you think he gonna be safe with that damn daughter of yours? Really? You think he gonna be safe with her? And I'm like, Vi was not holding back, but she let it be known that Ralph Angel works around the clock to provide for that child. Everything he makes, he puts into that child. You know, anything that he can do, he always puts Blue first. So what you mean? You know, and she before she left, she let Dawn-Lyen know Ralph Angel has been more of a parent than your daughter ever attempted to be. So, and then she was saying that, oh yeah, and as far as that DNA, the hell with that, because at the end of the day, he's still a borderline, and we don't take nothing lightly. I'm gonna fight this, and you asking for it, so game on, bitch. So I was like, I was so here for Aunt Vi checking Dawn-Lyen, because Dawn-Lyen, even though I understand why Dawn-Lyen is doing this, but at the end of the day, don't act like your daughter ain't no saint, boo-boo. Because, and it seemed to me this is exactly what Darla does. Because when she was with the Borderlones, she had them thinking that her parents were these people that rejected her and wanted nothing to do with her, but not knowing the full story. Now, it's the same thing here, where she's telling her mother stuff about Ralph Angel and all of that, but the mother don't know the full story. Like, no, Darla is having this because at the end of the day, look what Darla has done. You know, and at the end of the day, it was all about the fact that, you know, but then a lot of it was due to the fact that, yeah, Ralph Angel has been very short with Darla, which is pretty much pissed Darla off, which I'll admit to. But at the end of the day, he had good reasoning as to why he was saying that we need to do this, we need to slow this down, and not just me making all of these erratic changes. You know, we need to actually, you know, take our time, because, you know, at the end of the day, it's about Blue. It's about Blue, and Blue has obviously gotten used to his system, and how you just gonna come in and just change everything, you know, so abruptly. So I get where Rob was coming from with that, and that I even said before, Darla does have a right to her son. Absolutely. I'm not taking that from Darla. But Darla, you coming in trying to take Blue completely and trying to dominate the situation, it may not work in your favor. And the same thing with Miss Dawn-Lyen. This shit you pulling could be to your detriment, and not to anything, because Blue is gonna I mean, if you take Blue from Ralph, you're gonna regret it, because Blue is at the age where he'll let you know how he feels. Blue does not hold back with how he feels, and he doesn't hold back to how he expresses himself. So here it is, y'all thinking y'all providing a better environment for him, but yet you're gonna see that Blue is not gonna. Blue may reject it. So definitely keep that in mind. But yeah, I was so here for her getting her together, and then we see later on that child, you know, the Department of Child and Family Services comes to Darla's house, the house that her parents are helping her to, the house that her parents are helping her to pay for, and like soon as Darla comes in and talks to the lady, and we see that, you know, Dawn-Lyen is there, and she's like, yes, she went over and she saw how he was living, and that he was living, you know, in not very good conditions and all of that. And we see that Darla kind of looks at her mother, and she has like this mad look, but then also this sad thing, because she's like, you just literally made this worse. You know, but now that the mother's involved and the mother been providing for her, what can she say? Yeah, because you living in that nice place, even though Darla got a nice job working at a bank and all of that, yeah, at the end of the day, you got what you got because of your parents. And now you're seeing that, yeah, your mother has now stepped in, and she's willing to do any and everything to rip that child from Ralph Angel. But as I said, this may not work in your favor. So this is going to be interesting of how this is going to play out. Also, what also happened between with Hollywood and Vi, we see that that if Hollywood, obviously something was bothering Hollywood, because she was actually talking about her pie shop, and she's trying to find a location where they can build the pie shop, because she said all these locations are kind of like out in the middle of nowhere. I want to be somewhere where I'm close to the community. But then, like, Hollywood's kind of like having some issues like with his like back or whatever, and she's trying to talk to him, but he just kind of blew her off and ran off. But later on, we find out why he was so short with Vi earlier. It's because later on she confronts him about Nova's essay and was saying, what do you think about her telling our family business like that, putting his stuff out there on Front Street for everybody to read? And he sits there and he's just like, he's like, it is what it is. And she was like, oh, so you disagree with how I feel? She's like, well, no, I just see both sides of it. I see where you are, then I understand what Nova's doing. But then he begins to explain the reason why he was so short with her earlier is because around this time was when his ex-wife lost the baby. And it was 11 years ago when she miscarried, and the baby was 18 weeks. So he literally saw the baby being pulled out and put into a basket to be buried. And it was a girl. And he was saying she would be 11 years old today. So every time around this time of the year, I just kind of break down because, I lost my baby. And from that point on, Leanne was never the same, and I've never been the same. And we see that this also brings Vi and Hollywood close together. But then he told her that, Nova's article was real, because a lot of us men do go through pain and we hide it and we don't express it. This could be a tool to help other men to come forward with what they're feeling and to actually share, and to actually share their sadness so that they can be free from it. So I thought that was a very powerful scene between Hollywood and Vi. And it really goes to show that, yeah, Hollywood and Vi are definitely meant for each other. And I just love their relationship and how they go through so many of these different levels of their relationship. And it just makes their bond even stronger. Now I'm going to talk about Micah. Micah. We see early on that Micah is trying to scrub the paint off his shoes. That ain't going to happen. So your best bet is to just get rid of them. But we see that he's at school with Kiki. And, they're talking about, the burning of that historic site. And Kiki said that was really... she said that whoever did this, it was just very disrespectful. And then Micah's like, why was it disrespectful? She said because, regardless of the fact of how we may feel about it, it's still history. And besides, if they were going to burn something down, why didn't they burn down the big house? Why burn down the shack that our ancestors lived in? And I'm like, you got a good point, Kiki. So we see that he goes to school and he also meets up with the crew. They're pretty much on pins and needles because they know that they were behind this whole thing, and they're saying that, look, we're getting pressed, everybody's talking about it, but as long as we remain cool and we kind of remain calm, everything's alright. But then Ant admits that the police were at his house and they were questioning. they were pretty much questioning him about the event, and he said that, look, as long as we don't say nothing and as long as we cool, we ain't got nothing to worry about. Ain't nothing gonna happen. Tell me why later on in the day, the police come and they arrest Ant in front of everybody, in the school hallway. So I'm like, we gonna see whether, because I'm thinking Ant's gonna start talking, because when Ant realizes that they gonna put everything on him, I don't think he's gonna stay quiet. I mean, even though you had that code of not snitching, but at the end of the day, ain't nobody gonna go down for everybody, and he the only one that's gonna go down for this, and the rest of them are free. So we see later on, Micah and Kiki, she had their study session, because he's been blowing Kiki off to hang out with them, and and then all of a sudden they're studying and everything, and he's talking about the whole situation and saying that Ant Ant doesn't deserve this. I think what they're doing to him is wrong and all of that. And Kiki starts to kind of point out that, do you know more about this than you're letting on? Because at the end of the day, if he is, because she was saying that, hey, if he's not guilty, they have no reason to question him. But obviously, something happened that he's a person of interest, and that's when he finally confesses to Kiki that we were all there, we were all involved. And then that's when Kiki goes off, and she's like, "Are you serious? Like, you could go to jail for this. Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind?" And he was saying that, well, at least they made a stand and they tried to do something. What have you done? I'm like, oh, Micah, don't you dare do that. And she's like, look, I know you've been woke for about 5 minutes, but you're not that woke. First of all, I've been working hard on my SATs trying to get into college. I am doing what I'm supposed to do. Exactly. Which is what you're supposed to be doing, Micah. Focusing on your education and your studies. Yes, it's all good to express yourself, but you don't break the law to make an expression. Breaking the law will get the book thrown at you, which is exactly what could happen with this. Because we definitely see next week they looking into Micah's ass. So everybody that was involved is gonna be under investigation. So, because I said, I think Ant may start talking. So we see all of that go on, and pretty much she was like, look, this is crazy. Like, why would you do something like that? And Micah's like, look, and it's like, it's because Micah's gullible right now. Micah has been through a lot, with what recently happened with his father, all of these things that he's dealt with, him being assaulted by the police. All of these things, I think, have trickled down, and that is what's made Micah to fall into the wrong crowd, where he's kind of like just going along to get along. But yet he knows what they're doing is not right, and he knows that they're making bad choices, because this choice is going to be to all of their detriment. Because I don't think Ant is going to keep quiet. Ant's going to start singing. And Kiki was like, you know what? I don't even know who the hell you are anymore. And he's like, well, who am I? And she's like, I don't know. I'm like, good question. How's she gonna know who you are if you don't know who you are, Micah? It starts with you. And that, because as of right now, he probably don't know who the hell he is. He's just, right now, just kind of going with the wind. And now the wind done blew, and now you in some bullshit. So we see that go on. Then we see, as far as Charlie, Charlie discovers Prosper. Prosper falls, when he was about to get into the shower. She gets him up, but he can't stand. So she pretty much, they they take him to the hospital. And while she's at the hospital, she runs into Romero. I like Romero. Romero's mad cool. And we can definitely tell that Romero really likes her. But Romero lets her know that, he canceled his back surgery. And she's like, oh my God, because, he really needs this back surgery. But she said that, yeah, he canceled the back surgery. And she's like, why would he do that? And we see that that Charlie even tries to reach out to his daughter Billy, and she leaves a voice message. And her and Romero talk, and she goes in and she goes check in on Prosper. She says that you canceled your surgery, and he was saying that, look, you have been doing enough for me. You've been taking care of me and all of that, and I'm not trying to be a burden on anybody. And she's like, you're not a burden, and we see that she's, they're gonna keep him overnight for observation. We see that she puts the blankets on him and everything, and Romero is standing right there by her side, and she's saying, you don't have to stay if you don't want to. He's like, I don't mind. So we see that, yeah, Romero really likes Charlie, and Romero is the kind of guy that Charlie needs. And we're gonna see what's gonna happen between them. But I really am liking Romero right now, and we come to find out that, yeah, Prosper definitely has his ways about him as to why he canceled that surgery, because he doesn't want to be a burden on the Charlie. But Charlie is like, no, I got you. Because she did promise her father that I will take care of him. That was her father's closest friend. So we saw that was cool. Oh, but the kicker for me this episode was when Charlie went to go meet with Colton, Sam Landry's son. She shows up at his office. And he's a cocky motherfucker too. He's like, whatever it is you think you have on me, my wife already knows. And she's like, oh no, I ain't one. And she was like, look, I ain't talking about your affairs or nothing like that. I'm here for something else. And then he begins to let her know, now I know you got my cousin wrapped around your finger, but there's a difference between a Landry and a Boudreaux. So what are you here for, and what do you want? Oh, she lets him know, I want 10%. I want your 10% shares in Landry Enterprises. And he's like, girl, you out of your mind. She was like, see, I know about your dealings with your fat brothers. One of them that works with the EPA. How you've been doing a whole bunch of scams, covering their tracks. Pretty much cleaning up some dirty money. I know all about your dealings. And what do you think is going to happen when all of this trickles down on your father, and it ruins his reputation and also ruins some of the relationship that he's had over years? This is what you're going to do. You're going to give me all 10%. Because at the end of the day, either you take your daddy down, or I'm going to take you down. And we see that damn Colton was stuck. And I was like, because now she got your number. And she got that, from his aunt. So now we see that, yeah, Charlie's coming to collect. And then we see that once he starts signing off his shares, she sits there with her Scotch neat and is like, your daddy would be so proud. I was like, you better fucking play that back, because that's exactly what Sam Landry said to her when she signed over Queen Sugar, and he was like, your father would be so proud. And she did the same thing to Colton, like, oh no, you want to play this game? Now I got your number. Because at the end of the day, what you guys are doing is you're pretty much destroying a community, for profit. And she now knows all of his dirt, and she says that, yeah, your father will be pissed. He will probably regret that he gave you a dime if he finds out about this, about how you've been involved in money laundering and how you've been covering the tracks for your frat brothers. I got all the information, and I can ruin you. So we see that, yeah, she got that 10% shares in Landry Enterprises. So we're gonna see how Charlie's gonna work this. So yeah, I'm so with that. And from the looks of it, I think that's all I have. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But yeah, so much happened in this episode, and I was so here for On5 getting Dawn-Lyen together, because Dawn-Lyen, you are literally, I understand where Dawn-Lyen's coming from, being a grandmother and wanting the best interest of your grandchild, but at the end of the day, this could actually backfire for both you and Darla, you know, because the way y'all going about it is just straight up, it's just wrong on so many levels. But yeah, that's what I have, y'all. So subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you get notifications every time I drop a video. Also follow me on all of my social platforms. I have them all listed in the description box. Also like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. And I'll be back with the next episode of Queen Sugar. Again, if I missed anything, put it down in the comments. So until next time, everybody, take care.